It does look familiar, right? It does look familiar. It looks like something you have seen before. A regular 20-inch compact long-tail cargo bike, right? Nothing special to see here? Or is there? Well, this is the Loady and is the second bike in the growing cargo bike lineup of the German manufacturer Velo de Ville. There's the Freight, which was released end of 2023, and now there's this one as well. Velo de Ville doesn't have the longest history, but they have a very special approach as far as volume manufacturers are concerned, because all of their bikes are configurable down to the nitty-gritty stuff like handlebar, saddle, seat post, lighting, etc. They are not just a few packages and 3 colors, for example, but thousands of possible combinations and over 30 different colors. And that's because Velo de Ville paints, or rather coats, the frames themselves. Most of them are made in Asia and then shipped raw to Germany for the coloring and their final assembly. So they don't just have all these choices and better quality control, but also this color. Yeah, it's just gray, but it's a rather special gray. It's eco gray, because Velo de Ville collects the overflowing particles in the powder coating, mixes them again and processes them again. And the result is this color, which, if you look very closely, I can't see if the camera catches it. It consists of all the different particles that Velo de Ville used in the days prior. So the eco grey has a different shading from batch to batch, and I think it looks really cool. And it's also a cool story if you don't want to talk about politics or something in the family gathering. And I think it also looks good with these brown accents as well. I wasn't too sure in the pictures, but the two shades really complement each other. And this is something you don't see on other cargo bikes, which, yeah, they mostly are black over some other dull color. -7 degrees Celsius, which is about, I don't know, 4,000 Fahrenheit or something. Look at this. Isn't it beautiful? One of the few cold days with actually nice weather. So this is the configuration and all the different colors which sets the Loady apart from other cargo bikes. But there's a second interesting detail: the motor. The Velo de Ville Loady is the first cargo bike to utilize the new Gen.5 Bosch Performance CX motor. It has the same power output as the Gen.4, 250 watt and 85 Newton meters of torque, but it's way quieter. It's not as quiet as the Performance SX or the Performance line, but especially in quieter environments, it's really noticeable when you ride through the forest, for example. And speaking of the SX, this is the second option motor-wise. This has 250 watts continuous output as well, but just 55 Newton meters of torque, which should be okay for most use cases. But it's also the more sensible option, because with the SX motor the Loady starts at about 3,899 euros with the Nexus 5 hub and a chain drive. And if you want this configuration, so the CX and the Enviolo Automatiq, you're looking at a starting price of 4,899 euros. So quite a difference. And some more facts. The Loady has a total maximum weight of either 180 or 200 kilograms, depending on the gear hub. It weighs between 31.7 and about 40 kilograms, depending on the configuration, and it's about 2 meters long. So it's suitable for many hitch-mounted bike carriers if you want to carry your bike with a car. The seating position is quite upright, and Velo de Ville also made it very variable. So people between about 1,55 meters and about 2 meters sit comfortably on this bike, and the handlebar height is easy to adjust as well, in quite a broad range. And the step through as well. It's very pleasant with just about 50 centimeters from the ground. But how does it cope with load? It's called Loady, right? Well, it's kind of twofold at the moment as I'm testing this. From the basic parameters, it's good. The rear rack is able to carry up to 75 kilograms. It's nice and low. It has some great seats, and these seats, they snap in place with the MIG HD system. They are quite comfortable and rugged at the same time, because this is some fake leather. It's easily wipeable. And below the seats, this is a detail you don't see too often. Let me take the seat pad from the rack. Where is it? So, below the seat, you'll find this. Spring clamps. This is something you don't see too often on modern bikes, but the Loady has it. And on both sides there are additional frames which let you put pannier bags onto there, and it's also equipped with these studs to catch these Ortlieb QL3.1 bags on the sides. So this is quite pleasant as well. And the foot rails, these are made from metal and they seem really sturdy and nice. And also this frame up here, it should keep the kids nice and safe. And what I also think is great is that there are two rails. So one outer rail, if the bike falls, then the kids' arms are protected a little bit better. And the inner rail is kind of an armrest for the kids, and it's padded as well. So this seems nice and cozy. However, it's missing something. You have this big, nice rack. You have all those mounting points, but you don't have big pannier bags to put the kids' feet into there and some just carry around some stuff without having to strap it down somewhere. And this is something that most long-tail cargo bikes feature, and the Velo de Ville Loady will feature it in the future, but not from the get-go. And also the options for these front mounts are plenty, but they are all on the small side. So there's the possibility to put a MIG HD platform there, or a rack times snap it, or an extra battery. All this bucket here, but they're all on the small side. And 10 kilograms, it's okay, but it's not too much. And I had trouble to carry the kids and their backpacks at the same time because of the missing bags in the rear and this smallish front bucket. This is a little bit sad because there's plenty of opportunity to make it way bigger. I mean, you can get rid of these sides and then the small front rack gets wider. You can load wider items, but it's still small. So there is room for improvement, quite literally, and they are working on these accessories, but they're not ready yet. But they are ready with the way this bike rides. So as with most cargo bikes, the Loady feels very natural. It accelerates very quickly with a strong motor, and it's easy to keep on the 25 kilometers per hour threshold. The Enviolo Automatiq does a good job, but it wouldn't sometimes get back into the lowest gearing, which caused some trouble when I tried to get going on a steep incline. But the new hill start assist compensates this very well. But I still think the manual Enviolo or the Nexus 5 feels a little bit better with the Loady. It's so quick and agile. Shifting and changing gears manually should be really good fun. When it comes to really mountainous areas, I would prefer a derailleur system or a hub of the likes of 3x3 or Roll-Off, which is sadly no option currently. Depending on the load, speed and road surface, I noticed some speed wobble when I completely let go of the handlebars. I mean, these are really high up at the moment, but it was always there even when I put the handlebars in the lowest position. But it's easy to catch again, and it's a non-issue when you keep at least one hand on the grips. But it must be said that when I spoke to Velo de Ville about this, they were quite surprised because they never experienced such a behavior on one of their bikes. So maybe my review on it has a problem, but I think it's something you should be aware of when you are test riding the Velo de Ville Loady. But again, it's a non-issue when you have at least one hand on the handlebars, and otherwise the bike still feels very agile and it's easy to handle when there are two kids in the back or when there are heavier loads in the back. And thanks to the suspension fork and suspension seat post, it's very comfortable as well. Not just for the rider, but also the rear seems to be a fair bit more compliant than on other long-tail bikes. And I think these fat tires in the back and in the front They have a big influence there. But overall, I think it's a very fun and capable bike to ride with lots of comfort and nice and simple handling. And this is down to the seating position and these powerful brakes. And one more specialty of the Loady, the kickstand situation. It has one big center kickstand, so far so common, and the kickstand is very sturdy. It has some minor movement in there, but overall the bike feels very sturdy when it's parked on the kickstand. The second thing is the kickstand is lockable. That's not too common, but we see it on other bikes as well. That means if you push the bike forwards and it's locked, the bike won't get off the kickstand, which makes it very safe to use. But then the kickstand release is reversed. Normally you lock the kickstand by pushing one big button and you release it by just flicking this switch, but this one is the other way around. So if you want to release the kickstand, you really have to push this button and then it's released, and then you can push the bike off the kickstand. And to lock the kickstand again, you just push the smaller button here and then it's locked. That means you can't unlock the kickstand by accident. And it's very easy to get it on the kickstand as well, even when the bike is loaded, because the angle is all right, and then you just push the button and it's locked. And this makes it very safe to use, and we had no trouble whatsoever when the kids wanted to mount the bike on their own. So a very good kickstand. But that's not everything about the kickstand, because when you look down here, our bike is equipped with a second smaller kickstand. This is for the shorter stops when the bike is not loaded. Very easy to use, and we actually used it quite often because we don't ride with the kids all the time. And there's a third option as well, because you can put the bike onto the rear rack. Oh, it's getting really icy here. Let's come to an end. So what do we think about the Loady? We had this bike for a couple of weeks. We used it as a family of 4, and it was overall very pleasant. We would have loved if Velo de Ville gave us some more options for the front rack, some bigger options, and the accessories which are really vital, like big pannier bags at the sides, at the rear. This is a great everyday bike which won't turn heads, well, depending on how you configure it, but it will cope with almost everything you'll throw at it. And I'm really eager to see what will happen with the Loady in the future when they have more accessories. But what do you think about this bike? Let us know down in the comments. Leave a thumbs up if you like the video and subscribe if you want to see more of these. And now I'll get back into the warmth.